So you accomplished the job of sprucing up your resume and making it seem like you weren't in the second half of your working career, and you've got on now to the next level, some sort of an interview. Now we're going to give you some tips on how to maybe get past that and maybe closer to your next job. Stick around. Hi, I'm Rich.
And I'm Robbie, and you found our channel before it's too late.
On this channel, we're trying to connect with people around our age, 40s, 50s, 60s, and we're going through things that are common at this stage of life. Well, maybe not so common, but lately we're kind of focusing on what happens if you have to find a new job at this stage. A couple weeks ago, we did one on how to prepare your resume and change it up so that the first thing people think when they read it is not, wow, this is an old person, but it's this is a person that meets all the skills that we're looking for. And today we're going to start talking about what happens if that worked and you got on to the next stage. So if you find anything useful on this video, it'd be great if you'd like it, subscribe to our channel for more content going forward, hit that notification bell so you know when we put something out. And if we've missed stuff, we'd love it if you'd leave a comment or just reinforce what we say so that other people who find themselves in a similar situation can learn from this. All right, so a couple weeks ago, Robbie was let go from her job kind of out of the blue. And that same week, we were already planning to put together a video on how to Botox your resume. So those are both out there if you want to watch those. And now Robbie's done that. Like, she's got her resume out there now, and she's had some experience with the new way of hiring people.
Yeah, for sure. I had a couple incidences last week where I received emails. One of the interviews I did was click on a link. They recorded my video, recorded my answers. The questions that they wanted to ask me were shown on the screen, and I had 45 seconds to respond to whatever question they asked. So that was new for me. I've never done anything like that. The second one was even a little weirder. That one was AI generated. So in other words, I clicked on a link and I had a computer talking to me, asking me a question. And then based on the way I responded, that's where he went with the next question. And that interview was about 20 minutes long. So both definitely new things to me. I've never done anything like that before in job hunting.
Yeah, and then also you had a couple of just normal sort of callbacks, right?
Yes, absolutely. And one of those was with a recruiter, and that was done just on the phone. And then I also had a Zoom meeting with another recruiter, but that was obviously video and talking at the same time.
Yeah, so we're going to go through some tips now that I got from an actual recruiter about how to get past their level and on to the hiring manager. When you get any sort of response saying that a company wants to take another step with you, make sure, if you're interested in the job, make sure you're out there doing some research on that company. I mean, even if it's going to be a series of questions across the screen and then you're recording your answers like Robbie did, or through AI, and really with an actual person on phone or over a Zoom call, make sure you know about the company that is calling you, that is wanting you to possibly work for them. You know, look them up on the internet, look them up, find out what their core competency is, find out about their values, find out about their mission statement. And any way that you can work that into an answer is good stuff.
For sure. And I think another thing too that I've tried to do is looking at what specifications are they looking for in the role that they're hiring for, right?
Like, so you read their job
description, right?
Yeah, and you know what it said.
Yeah, and basically then looking at the skills that I have and incorporating how those skills could be used to fulfill that job description, just to basically make me more marketable to them, right?
Yeah, and the recruiter that I talked to basically said he's surprised at how much or how many times he's got an interviewee out there who clearly doesn't know anything about the company that he works for, that he's recruiting for. Right. So that's one way to set yourself apart for the recruiter, is you already know something and you're demonstrating that you actually do want this job.
Right.
All right, so Robbie's in the medical field, and when you're applying for those sorts of jobs, I mean, that is an industry in itself, the medical industry, right? But if you're talking about shifting industries, like let's say you're a mechanical engineer and you're going from a manufacturing sort of environment, or that was your last job,
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking to go into sort of a warehousing kind of environment,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you research the industry and how your skills, again, that you learned in one sort of industry can transfer to this new
To
industry
the other.
and be
Mm-hmm.
able to explain that to the recruiter. The recruiter is, they're not going to be the one that's making the ultimate decision, but right now they're the gatekeeper.
Right.
So they need to understand that the skills that you listed and that you bragged about in your resume can work for them, even if that's a different industry.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that I have tried to do in my face-to-face or person-to-person on the phone talking with someone interviews is to basically try and have some questions to ask the recruiter. Maybe asking questions more about the company, what direction they're going, those kinds of things. In doing that, though, sometimes the recruiters don't really know that much about the company.
Yeah. I mean, you have to remember that it's more common than ever today that a company will hire a recruiting agency
Yeah.
to go out and kind of weed through the mass of resumes they may get. So the recruiter that's calling you may not work for the company. They might. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the recruiters I talk to work for the company that I work for, but there's a lot of times where they don't. And
Mm-hmm.
they're just seeing if you indeed can answer questions that demonstrate the skills that are listed in the job application or the job requirements for the position you applied for.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a good time to start talking about salary
Yeah.
or things
Right.
like that. Again,
Mm-hmm.
the recruiter is not the decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the one that's going to give you the job and decide what you're going to get paid. While you may have those questions, it's better to hold on to them until you get to the next level.
Right. And I would say in the two interviews that I have done thus far with recruiters, none of that even came up. They didn't offer any suggestions or any information, and I didn't ask questions.
But it is pretty common for an applicant to ask a recruiter, and the recruiter may respond to you with something like, well, what are you looking for?
Right.
And it's my opinion that you just say, well, I've done some research,
Yeah.
and do that research, find out what the position should pay, and don't give them a number. Say, I'm looking for something that's within the common range for this position.
Right.
Right. And that way they're not automatically Xing you off because you shot too high,
Mm-hmm.
or there is such a thing as Xing you off because you shot too low, which means you don't even know what this position's worth.
Right.
Like we mentioned in a previous video, the one where we talked about what to do different with your job application or the resume,
Right.
one of the key things that the recruiters have told me is it makes a difference to them if you reach back out to them after some time passes. Like, say a week goes by and you haven't heard anything yet, find that person on LinkedIn, find the recruiter, send them a note saying, hey, we talked last Wednesday. I'm just wondering if there's been any movement on this job. I'm really interested. And yeah, that it doesn't seem like much, but it sets you apart from the other applicants. And that gives that recruiter just one more reason to pass your name on to the hiring manager.
Right. Right. With that being said, though, like Rich has been so helpful to me in this process because I do stew about it, think about it, and he has constantly just kind of guided me and said, hey, listen, you put out the application, you've talked to the recruiter, now close that door. I mean, yes, I can reach back out to them like a week later, but don't dwell on it. I don't even, how do you usually say that to me?
Don't invest more in
There.
them than they're investing in you at this point.
Right.
I mean, again, go back to what I said a little bit ago. The recruiter may not work for the company at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're passing on a list of names to a hiring manager. That hiring manager, who knows how long it's going to take them to actually work on that list.
Right.
So you just got to like fire and forget,
Yeah,
right?
there
Like,
you go.
put it out there and just realize if they don't get back to you, it's not a reflection on you,
Yeah.
right? You don't know that maybe they had an internal candidate. And I think we're finding out a lot that companies feel like they need to put out this job opening, even if they have somebody already selected for it.
Right.
And in several of the videos that we've done already, we've seen that a lot in the comments where people say, they probably had somebody else they wanted to hire and that's why you were let go. Or,
Yeah.
when people are applying, they apply and they spend a lot of time on things and then they find out, well, he hired his nephew anyway.
Yeah, well, and even one of the recruiters that I have talked to this past week, she was very upfront with me and said, "Hey, the job that you applied for has already been filled internally, but I wanted to reach out to you because I have these other jobs that I think you would be great for." So that definitely does happen for sure.
Right. Again, the investment that you're putting in
Mhm.
is just getting out there, getting your name out there, a job that you might want to do. But you got to consider these interviews as sort of you're interviewing them too. And that's going to come
Right.
into play more in the next video we do. But you want to get an idea from the recruiter, what's this company all about?
Yeah.
Is what are the, what are the expectations of the job? I mean, if the recruiter knows, maybe, when you're going to start, when they're looking to get somebody, those kind of
Right.
things. But the specifics, the recruiter's probably not the one to answer those questions.
Right. And it just kind of gives you the opening to, is this something that I truly do want to pursue? If they pursue me, do I want to pursue them? So,
Right. So all that to say, don't be afraid to reach back out to the recruiter.
recruiter.
It demonstrates that you have the knowledge to be able to go find them on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
That's a plus. And it also demonstrates that, hey, you are still interested, and it might just set you apart from the crowd just enough to get on to the next step. All right, so to wrap this up, you've got your resume out there, and now you're getting callbacks. They're not calling you on the phone out of the blue and saying, let's talk. They're usually setting up some sort of a time for you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So in the interim, do your research on the company, find out what they're about, find out what their mission statement is so that you can work that into your answers with this recruiter. Take some time to know the industry that's calling you back, especially if you're changing industries. Know how your skill set, the stuff that made you want to apply for this job, how it's going to apply in this new industry as opposed to the industry that you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you've got some questions ready. Some questions, vague sort of questions, even just something. It's basically showing that you're engaged.
Yep. Showing you're interested. Mm-hmm.
And then, a week goes by after the interview. Don't be afraid to reach back out via email or via LinkedIn and ask the recruiter what's up. Set yourself apart.
Right.
One thing to really remember, though, is don't invest more in them than they've already invested in you. Right? So don't get hung up sitting around going, why am I not getting callbacks? Because you don't know what the actual process is at the company that you're applying for. Right? And it's just dragging you down if you're worried about, oh, my skills weren't perfect for them. That might not be the case at all.
So, if any of this has been helpful to you in your journey to potentially find a different job at our age, please don't hesitate to hit the like button. Definitely subscribe to our channel. That'd be awesome. And then hit that notification bell so that you do get notified anytime we do post another video.
And it'd be really great if you leave a comment. Again, we learn as much from the comments as we're
We
putting out
do.
there. So
Mm-hmm.
we like to hear from you guys. And we're hoping, again, the next couple of videos we do, we're going to do one on the next step, which is actually how should you be handling the interview with the decision maker, with the hiring manager, because it's a different thing. It's a different animal than that initial interview with the recruiter. So thanks for watching us, and God bless.